Coming up on this episode of Tom Talks Rubbish.
When wrestling became my job, almost my side job, I stopped watching the product as much because I was just watching it through clips,
Mm.
right? So I was able to kind of get it like that. I did get back into it eventually, but there was a small period of time where I had to stop watching because I'm like, okay, now I'm watching on Mondays, but then I also have to edit his hot takes on Tuesday, and I don't watch NXT. And then on Fridays, again, I'm going to be watching clips for hot takes, and hot takes usually has the highlights of the episode. And so, do I really want to watch it twice? I eventually learned, yes, you do want to watch it twice, or else you have no idea really what they're
Context.
talking about. Exactly. Context. Exactly. Um, Eventually, once it got to the point of I need more context, I started watching more. But it took maybe a couple months off of just watching.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Tom Talks and stand back for another interview. This time, I'm joined by the one and only Daniel Menner from the Daniel Menner YouTube channel and the producer of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on here.
I'm really excited to chat with you, my friend. Before we get into any of your amazing work, whether it be for your own channel or with the great man that is Santi Zap, how do you first discover wrestling, Daniel, as an overall fan? I
Oh,
believe
geez.
if research has anything to do with it, you're a Nexus boy.
Yes. Yeah, I when I was a kid, it was mainly my dad who
Mm.
used to buy me video games. He used to work near an EB Games, and we would whenever we would visit his work, he would always take us on his lunch break, which was it's a really nice memory.
Mm.
And so when we would go, it's like GameStop. EB Games is basically GameStop. And so when we went one day, my dad was like, "Oh, let's check out this WWE game." I'm like, "What is it?" And he was like, "Oh, it's a sports game." I said, "Okay, cool." So then I would play it. I'd play as John Cena. I'd play as Triple H. I was like, these guys are awesome. And then my dad on Monday, right, Raw, he would turn it on, and I was like, "There's a TV show for this thing? Like, that's awesome!" And then yeah, I got to fall in love with John Cena, and that was around the time, like you're saying, the Nexus, right?
Mm.
And so as a kid, like it was a no-brainer. Like John Cena has to win this feud. Like I wasn't thinking of the IWC mentality where it's like put the young guys over. No, I wanted my hero to win. And so yeah, I loved that Wade Barrett got buried because of it when I was a kid. And when I got older and people said that it was the worst decision in company history, I was like, no, no, it wasn't. And so I'll always stand by that, is that John Cena beating the Nexus was the best decision that the WWE could have done.
What is your sort of old man IWC that maybe the kids that are coming up now are like, that was the best decision ever? What's yours? What's yours that you look back on now and you're like, no, guys, you don't even understand, sort of thing.
I think that a lot of people nowadays criticize Triple H booking, and you have no idea how bad it was when,
Mm.
when we were kids. Like, oh, like the anonymous Raw general manager was
Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler.
horrible. And then the payoff was Hornswoggle underneath the ring. Like, it's you guys have no idea. Like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically there was this computer, and Michael Cole would walk over to it, and it was essentially the general manager of Raw,
Mm.
and it would be giving commands to Michael Cole how to command the show. Oh no, this didn't count as this is not the match finish. We're gonna restart it right now. And it's like, okay, well, who is this Raw general manager? This anonymous, and it was Hornswoggle, like I said. And Yeah, like some of these people, they complain just to complain, and I get it that that's what you guys are growing up with, and it's like, man, why did they do it like that? And it's, what are you gonna do? Like you can't appease everybody.
How did Edge's retirement change your fandom, Daniel?
Oh yeah, yeah. I tweeted about this. It's, oh my goodness. When I was, yeah, like I always gravitated towards the people that I could relate to. And so John Cena was the colorful entrance with the salute. He was the best, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and another person I gravitated towards as well was Edge. And so he was in a storyline with Vicky Guerrero, and everyone knew how annoying Vicky was with the "excuse me," right? And so with Edge by her side, I was like, man, when is he gonna finally turn on her? And so when he did, I was all in. I was like, this guy's from Toronto. I'm from Toronto. He does the spear where he does his hair, like he just, he goes crazy. And it just got me so hyped as a kid. And so finally, when that curtain was peeled back, and I was like, Dad, what's going on here? And he's like, oh, well, Edge is not going to be wrestling for that much longer. And I was like, well,
Mm,
there's no real reason for me to keep watching. For some reason, even though I love John Cena, I loved everything about that. It just really turned me off for some reason as a kid.
mm. I understand what you're saying completely there. Continuing my research sort of thing, I know you then didn't pick up wrestling for 11 years, if memory serves. And it
It was,
was Cody
sorry.
Rhodes, right?
Yeah. So what happened? It was like when me and my wife were trying to find things to do because we didn't have kids a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. We were just looking for things to do. And I was like, you know what? She's never been to a wrestling show. And I was like, let me see if I could get back into this because I loved it as a kid. And for some reason, I didn't pick it up until now. Right. I was looking for something to do with my wife, just like a date idea, because
Mm,
we went to baseball games, and we went to one baseball game and we loved it. And then in classic Daniel fashion, I overdo it. And we went to three baseball games. And by the third game, she was like, I'm done with baseball. And
yeah.
I get it. And so I was like, what else is there to do? And so the Raw was coming to Toronto. And I was like, babe, the cheapest seats are $60. So let's go. And so we ended up going, and she had a blast. I had a blast. We had so much fun. But before that, like you're saying, I had to start rewatching wrestling. I'm like, what's going on here?
Mm,
Who's on top right now? I heard of this Seth Rollins guy. He's pretty cool. And then, like you're saying, Cody Rhodes ended up coming out, and they showed that promo package of Cody and Hell in a Cell. He tore his pec. He came out on Raw. Seth Rollins ended up saying, your dad would be so proud of you, and that was kind of the curtain, a peek behind the curtain,
yeah.
breaking the fourth wall almost. And I was like, man, these guys really do have feelings, right? Because I was a kid, I didn't understand that it's just TV, right?
Yeah.
But no, like now I understand as an adult that these guys have feelings and things like that. And so I got to see Cody Rhodes, and he ended up kind of retiring a little, or not retiring, but he went away on surgery. And that whole year was just hype being built for the Royal Rumble, and that was also the year of Sammy and the Bloodline. It was such a great year to get back into wrestling.
That's really, really cool, my friend. What about now as we record this in May of 2025? Just because I'm not quite sure when this will drop. Where's your current fandom as we record this?
It's all over the place. Like I love WWE. I've tried to get into AEW. Like I've been to a couple of AEW shows. I've ordered a bunch of the pay-per-views. It's starting to get a lot better, and I think that right now AEW has an opportunity to capitalize on the old feeling of WWE, because right now WWE is very TKO, they're very
Mm,
business minded, but AEW does have an opportunity to capitalize on the old feeling almost of,
mm,
no, we don't have too many sponsors. We will have some sponsors, but it only really when it makes sense. and they have that opportunity there. So I think that if they start to, create a little bit more buzz, I might get back into it. But in terms of WWE, I personally don't care about the sponsors. I personally don't care about, the whole TKO thing. And so I just love simply watching as a fan, not as a critic. And I'll critique here and there because I'm in the business, right? But I love just watching. I love Cody's great. I love the John Cena heel turn storyline that's going on right now, despite what a lot of people are saying. Oh, it's a failed experiment. No, it's not. I don't think so. But I love that storyline. I'm excited to see if Cody comes back soon. And I just like you. I love talking to people, and that's the whole. That's what's really keeping me in this space is talking to these cool people and keeping up with the storylines. I love it. I really do.
How did it feel to be in the building for John Cena's heel turn?
It was nuts. Like, if you go back to the clip, it was a complete like chance that I got to sit where I was. Basically what happened that day is I got to be Santi's cameraman for the day. He asked me to do that, and we were filming his Superstore video. We filmed street interviews, things like that. And later on that day, he told me, he said, I got you a seat. It's going to be in the 100s because I just want different angles of the show. Completely makes sense. However, he said it was actually, this is a little bit insider knowledge. It was actually Con Man that told him, like, hey, you have an extra seat, right? Why don't you give it to Daniel? Because he ended up getting gifted seats from Netflix.
Who did? Santi.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
okay. Sorry,
so Santi,
I understand enough.
yeah. So Santi, like, there was a Netflix rep that came up to us and said, like, hey, thank you so much for coming. Here's 2 seats. And they gave it to Con and Santi. And so Con Man looks over at Santi and says, hey, like, why don't you give Daniel your extra seat? And I immediately, I got an email from Santi and I got a phone call from him, and he goes, hey, did you get my ticket? I was like, yeah. He goes, I gave you an extra seat because, because I have an extra seat and I'm not going to be going over there. And I said, oh, thanks, man. It was so unexpected. And so it was also like 6:20, so like I'm in my seat. I'm waiting for the show to start in 40 minutes. And I had to run up the aisle. I ran over to guest services. I said, hey, my buddy gifted me a ticket. I need a wristband. And they're like, okay, do you have confirmation? I said, yeah. Got the confirmation. I ran down to the floor. I showed my ticket. I actually ran up to the Vibe guys because I met them earlier in the day. And I ran up to them, Brent, and I said, like, yo, like, I got onto the floor. Santi gifted me this ticket. He's like, man, just enjoy yourself tonight. That is awesome. And then if you go back to the clip of John Cena kicking Cody in the balls, I am like dead right in the middle. I have my hand on my head. And it was a crazy moment. The guy beside me, he was really cool too. He grabbed onto me. He was like jumping up and down with me. It was an awesome moment. It really was.
Is it strange to you? You talked about, you called Santi your buddy there and things like that. Is it strange to you to call a creator that you've watched a friend in some ways?
Yeah. Like, when I first got into listening to these creators, that's initially how I started back again, WrestleMania around the 39 season. The year before is when I got back into it. I really wanted to look at these creators, Santi, Chris Van Vliet, all of the other ones, Con Man, Wheezy as well. And I got to see them, and I got to see like what they're doing. BDE, of course, I can't miss him. And I was like, how do I talk to these people? Like, how do I go from a fan to kind of like a creator? And I'm like, yeah, I can make YouTube videos. And that's when I started making shorts, and I started making just my big head shorts where I'm just talking about different topics. But then it transitioned to interviewing. And that really opened up a lot of doors, where like these guys just want to talk about wrestling. They just want an outlet, you know, and me being able to provide that was really cool. You talk about Santi being my friend. I think the craziest one to me was BDE recognizing me and knowing me. Um, I got to at WrestleMania 39. I was walking down the steps to my seat, and I hear a familiar voice out of my left ear, and I turn and I see him, BDE, and I'm like, "Hey man, I absolutely love your videos." He goes, "Oh, thanks, man, I appreciate it." And then behind him was Brent, and I got to talk to Brent, and I said, "I'm like, oh, did you guys wear the QR codes? The QR code shirt?" And he pulled it out, and I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome,
Oh, that's
dude."
awesome.
Yeah, and then I was like, I asked him, I said, "Oh, did BDE wear his?" And he goes, no. And I'm like, "Oh, he's slacking then." And he goes, "Yeah, it happens, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, nice to meet you, man. I appreciate it." They went on with their day. And almost 1 year, 1 year later, I got to interview BDE.
Mm.
And so the way that we started our interview is I said, "We've met before." He goes, "What?"
Mm.
So that was kind of like my icebreaker that I threw to him. And at Elimination Chamber, I got to meet the Vibe guys, and I shook BD's hand. I said, "Hey, man, very nice to meet you." And he goes, "Yeah, man, I know who you are." And I was like, "Oh, that's crazy," So yeah, like it's crazy, it's nuts.
You talk about obviously everyone you've got to interview there. So that brings me nicely to a nice segue,
Yeah,
Daniel. Of like, how did you sort of go from I'm going to make wrestling content to wrestling interview content?
yeah, it was just taking a chance, right? Like at that point, I was making shorts for about a year, and it really wasn't working. Like I had one kind of successful one. I think it hit 100,000 views on TikTok, which was awesome. And it was really cool. Sorry, my son was jumping. It just distracted me. Where's my train of thought going? I got to make these shorts for about a year, and it wasn't working. And so I was like, well, where can I go next? I'm always very analytical whenever I get into a hobby.
Mm.
I want to just see how I can make money off of it, if that makes sense. And so when I saw wrestling, I was like, well, I'm trying this TikTok thing. It's really not working. Santi's doing his reactions. People are copying him doing that. I don't really have time at night because I work at night. And so what can I do? And so I reached out to Chris Van Vliet. I just said, hey, man, I love your content. I love listening to you at work. Just thank you so much. And also, I'm a Torontonian myself. And he actually followed me back and reached out to me and said, like, hey, I appreciate the message. I'm sure our paths will cross at some point. And right when he said that, it just lit a fire under my ass. I was like, now I want to do something.
Yeah.
And so I ended up reaching out to Santi so many times. Like, it doesn't just take one reach out sometimes. Sometimes it does take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 reach outs for them to finally be like, let's do it. And so Santi, he ended up it was actually a nice learning lesson. I ended up starting a podcast with one of my buddies, even before the shorts, before all of that.
Mm.
And I ended up asking Santi, do you want to be on the episode? And he said, sure. What's the podcast? And so I sent him the link, and there was no response. And then I sent it, hey, you said you wanted to be on the podcast. Let me know. No response. And then what I later learned is that Santi doesn't do first episodes. So he won't do like, oh, you want to start a podcast and first episode you want Santi's app. No, you need to 4, 5, 6 episodes. Yeah, get it started, right? You don't want to just gain popularity because of the one name. And so eventually I was like, okay, what's going to get Santi's attention? Maybe an interview. And so I reached out to him and I said, hey, would you like to be interviewed? Ironically, he was my first interview, but I was posting content beforehand. I was trying other things beforehand. This wasn't just a fresh YouTube channel and all of a sudden I get this interview. It was just like he ended up following me before me starting this podcast with my friend. And so out of like happenstance, I think he may have just maybe he saw my TikTok content and he's like, oh, I recognize that face. Um, and so he ended up following me, and that opened that avenue to message him. And then finally, like I was saying, I reached out for the interview. He said yes to the interview. We got to do it. I was nervous. He even said he's like, it's so nerve wracking to go from interviewing nobody to interviewing a
Oh
creator,
yes. Oh yeah.
right? As
Do
you
not
know,
watch my first episode, dude. Do not do that.
exactly. And so, we got to interview. I messed up at a point in the interview where I just blanked. I
Did
edited it
you ask him a
out.
question twice?
I did ask a question twice. It was so dumb because I was looking for a certain answer and he didn't give me that certain answer. And so I wanted to ask it again to try and get that answer, which was
Yeah,
it was not a good idea.
I'm
Not a
guilty.
good idea.
Not so
Right.
much now because
Yeah.
I'm so many
Exactly.
episodes deep. But like in the early days, definitely
Yeah.
you want the conversation to go how you want it to go. Does that
Yes.
make sense?
Yes. Oh yeah. I've done that. I've done the classic. We'll get to that. We'll get to that later, but right now I want to focus on this. I've done that.
Mm.
I've just learned, just go with the flow. Where it's going, just go with it. Um, yeah, I asked Santi a question twice, and he was complete. He doesn't even remember probably, but I remembered it, and it was a good learning lesson, like we're saying here. Yeah, it was really cool, and that opened up the door for Con Man. That opened up the door for Wheezy and all of these interviews. Andrew Baydala. I've had. It's really cool. BDE, Dijak. It's been awesome.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. You've had a lot of people that I'm like, I'd love to talk to them. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
need to get to work in other ways. Is what I'm saying.
It's reaching out once, waiting a week, reaching out again, reaching out a third. You keep selling yourself, and that's actually, again, I keep bringing up Santi, but he's such a big part of my career. It's what he taught me. Is he said, you know what, I appreciated that you reach out to me so many times because I've been in sales. So that's what he said to me. He used to have a sales job before doing wrestling, and so yeah, when he said that, I was like, okay, I shouldn't be ashamed if I'm going to reach out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Same thing with Chris Van Vliet. I've reached out to him so many times. And so I know that maybe these creators, I don't want to put these people on blast for not responding because they're so busy. I completely understand. But maybe these creators are waiting for something. Maybe they're waiting for you to reach a certain point. I know Muscle Man Malcolm got to interview Chris recently, and it was because they were in person together. They got to sit down in person. And so maybe that's what Chris is waiting for. So I have to just keep progressing with the interviews I have, and then maybe we'll get to that point one day.
That's really, really cool. How did that interview lead to you becoming a shorts editor for Santi?
That's a cool story. So yeah, we did that interview, and we did I did Con, I did Wheezy, I did Dijak, BDE, Andrew Baydala. I did all these interviews, and through it, I thought I was going to get big off of the interviews. I thought I was going to get big off of the retweet and the name value. That's not the case. You're going to get big off of the shorts. It's how good the shorts are. It's how good the hook is for the short. It's really where I was like, okay, let's stop focusing on the interview itself and let's start clipping the hell out of it. And so I started like
Van Vliet strategy.
Exactly.
Like, I believe he uses the analogy a loaf of bread. Like, the shorts are the crumbs, the clips are the slices, and then hopefully that leads you to the slice of bread. I do apologize, dude. I interrupted you there.
No, it's a conversation. You're doing fine. Yeah, so like I ended up I just really focused on the shorts, and I started to see some traction with it, right? Like initially I tried putting myself as a big portrait, and then it would cut to Santi 10 seconds later that doesn't work because no one sees my face and is interested in my face. They're interested in Santi. And so I tried the square on top, square on the bottom, where it's me asking Santi the question. That ended up working. I looked at Chris Van Vliet's shorts and I said, like, what's working for him? It's where he ends up using a full clip of a WWE event and it slides into frame. So I'm like, okay, well, how do you slide a thing into frame? You look up a video tutorial. Okay, now I know how to do that. And then when someone's giving their answer, no one cares about what your face looks like. They care about a clip of what the person's talking about. And so I would slide a clip into my frame. It's just learning all these little things. And so eventually, Sancho actually ended up putting out a post saying, we're looking for a producer. We're looking for you to make shorts. And so I was like, I know how to do shorts. I've been doing it for months now. And so I realized that his post was fairly long. So there was like a read more section. And so I clicked on the full tweet and it ended up saying, also bonus points if you send a clip of our podcast. And I realized that there were so many people in the comments saying, hey, I would love to work with you. I've done this, this. And I was like, that's not going to get their attention. What's going to get their attention is making a short. And so I took an hour or so and just listened to their podcast. And one of the first clips of the episode, it was like Santi getting bashed for not oiling up or something. And so it was like, I think it was when that meme first started getting big. And Santi just went on this crazy rant saying, I'm going to go to SummerSlam. I'm going to be gifted boxes of oil. Don't give me any boxes of oil. And I took that and made a clip out of it. And I posted it onto Twitter. And I said, at Sancho West, at Santi, I heard you're looking for a shorts editor. Here's my submission. And I posted it. And they both hearted it within a couple of hours. And right when they hearted it, I was like, I've got a chance here. And so Sancho, I think I still ended up sending an email just to be formal. I'd be like, hey, this was my tweet. This is my post. I really appreciate you guys liking the post. And a week later, they reached out to me and they said, hey, we would love for you to be the producer. Again, it's just right place, right time. And it was also just wanting to stand out. It's like all these people are posting their portfolios and so Sancho now has to go into the portfolio and he has to now navigate your website to find the exact clip. Just post the clip on Twitter. Just post it. Just post it and watch it. It'll take 30 seconds of your time. And that's kind of like, I just tried to be different. And I think I was different in that. And the next day after Sancho sent me the request to be the shorts editor, Santi reached out to me and he said, hey, I know that you're already doing the wrestling is cool position, but I would love for you to be the shorts editor for my channel. And after that, we scheduled the call. I got to just pick his brain on what he wants. And I've been doing that now for almost a year.
That's really, really cool. How has your fandom changed as you've worked alongside creators? How has your sort of fandom for wrestling, first of all, changed?
For a little bit, it turned into a job. And so some people want to be careful with that. I think that there's a healthy balance. And so when wrestling became my job, almost my side job, I stopped watching the product as much because I was just watching it through clips. Right. So I was able to kind of get it like that. I did get back into it eventually. But there was a small period of time where I had to stop watching because I'm like, okay, now I'm watching on Mondays, but then I also have to edit his hot takes on Tuesday, and I don't watch NXT. And then on Fridays, again, I'm going to be watching clips for hot takes, and hot takes usually has the highlights of the episode. And so do I really want to watch it twice? I eventually learned, yes, you do want to watch it twice, or else you have no idea really what they're talking about. Exactly. Context. Exactly. Eventually, once it got to the point of I need more context, I started watching more. but it took maybe a couple months off of just watching. It was also the end of like the Sami Zayn bloodline thing. It was, or what? No, wait, what time of the year was it? I can't even remember at this point. I think it may have been. It wasn't WrestleMania 39. It was maybe a year after that. So it was Cody stuff. So like once Cody became champion, I took a little bit of a break, but I eventually got back into it, and it was good. Now I have a very healthy relationship with it, where again, like I said, I need context, and yeah, it definitely makes you see the WWE in a different light as well. When you hear a creator give their opinion, and you have to ask yourself, do I agree with that opinion? But then you also have to say to yourself, you can't let that affect you. And so you push your opinion to the side, regardless if you agree with it or not. You have to make the short, right? That's the highlight of their channel. For example, recently, Santi ended up going on a rant saying, I hate Sami Zayn, right? And that clip went viral. But I don't hate Sami Zayn. I don't hate the character. I don't hate the over the top Sami Zayn, but he does. So what I had to do was look at myself and say, you got to make a short on it. Doesn't matter if you agree with it or not. I made a short on it. Some guy on Twitter got mad that that opinion was given, and it got over 1 million views on Twitter. I did my job. It painted Santi in a bad light for maybe one day. He didn't really respond. He responded to a comment saying the clip was kind of taken out of context. But I did my job. I got him views. I got Wrestling is Cool 1 million views. And so I did my job in that regard. And yeah, that's how my fandom has kind of changed, is the opinions, right? Like you have to push the opinions aside.
What about your fandom of certain creators? Because I know, obviously, working with Santi, you've got to meet creators and people like that. So how has that changed your fandom of the creators that maybe you've spoken to as well?
It gets to know them as people, right? Like the day of the Elimination Chamber, we had a break. There's this thing I kind of live off of. Creators bleed too, or people bleed, right? Everybody bleeds. And so everybody, even though they have a recognizable face, even though they're a content creator, everybody's human. And so, like, yeah, I'll look up to somebody for so long, and then you meet them in person, and you don't want to be a fanboy. You don't want to. That day was really hard because I was surrounded by creators that a year ago I was watching, and I had to just reel it in and be like, you can't take pictures with anybody. You just have to act professional, shake everybody's hand, meet everybody, try and make some sort of an impression with these people. Maybe you can get an interview out of it. And I do have a couple scheduled from Elimination Chamber. I just posted Queen of the Ring, Alex, super awesome person. I got to talk with her.
She's been on the channel before. I think she's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. She is so good at what she does with her interviewing skills. And so I'm learning some from her too. It's gotten to allow me to meet these people and know these people as people, right? And it's been really cool just to see the human side of everybody.
That's really, really cool, my friend. Yeah, obviously you do it all because you have your own channel, you do stuff for Santi, and Wrestling is Cool. So how do you deal with burnout or balance your sort of burnout as a creator, Daniel?
It's a good question. Right now I'm on parental leave. So I've got time. When I'm working, you have to have an off day. You have to. My Mondays are my off day. Today, because this is being recorded on a Monday, my off day is now Wednesday, which is completely fine.
Sorry, dude.
But you're fine. I said yes to this, right? And so Mondays are normally my off day, where I just go, even though I'm motivated, even though in this moment I want to make a short, even if it's at 10 p.m. at night when my son's asleep, and I have the time and it's quiet in my room and I have alone time, get off the computer, go read a book. Like, just, you can do it tomorrow type of thing. And I've had to learn that. Um, Also, just knowing when to say, you know what, I need more than one day off. I need maybe 2 days off. Um, Even if you end up missing a couple of days, the one thing that I've learned from Gary V actually is it's so insignificant the past months. The past 3 months when you weren't doing anything, it's so insignificant because what all that matters is what you do today and what you do next week and what you do in a month, right? Um, and it took me a long time to learn a good schedule. Like, I had to do shorts for Santi for half a year. And then finally, after Elimination Chamber, I was like, you got to do more interviews. At Elimination Chamber, BDE and Santi both complimented me on my interview skills, saying, like, dude, you're really good at that. You should keep
Oh,
doing
you
it.
are
And
good. You're very
I
good.
was like, these guys, I used to look up to these guys, right? And now they're complimenting me. And that got me off of my ass once again, and to start interviewing and getting through it, and just finding a good schedule, also having a great wife that understands that, hey, you have a passion and you want to reach your goal at some point. um yeah, and now working at this for a year, working at my schedule, working at all these, you know, time management. I've got interviews lined up, and it looks good, and I feel good about it too.
You're very good at what you do, my friend. Just a
Thank you,
couple
I
more
appreciate it.
questions before we wrap this
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
What is your sort of advice for people that want to be in our position, interviewing creators and things like that? What is your advice?
It's much more simpler than you are building it up in your head,
Mm.
right? Like, right now, I have a green screen.
Hmm.
I've got a microphone. You have a microphone, headset, a decent a webcam. Um, and start reaching out to people. Like, if you have just a little bit of confidence and you want to get into this, start doing it. Start reaching out to creators. Start reaching out to, maybe not the big dogs. You can try the big dogs, but start reaching out to Con Man. I know Con Man is, I don't want to like say he's definitely going to message you, but he's somebody that is responsive. And so he might message you back if you send him an email. Depending on the season, he might be busy.
Mm.
Same thing. Just look at the smaller creators in the space. Not the top is what I mean. They're still big, right? 100,000 subscribers is still huge.
Oh, definitely.
Right. But reach out to those guys and see if they'll give you 30 minutes of your time. Even reach out to the guys that are just the smaller creators and send them a message, see what happens. If you want to try interviewing, maybe you want to try being a TikTok, like a TikTok personality for a bit, right? Like, even on TikTok, I'll scroll on my feed sometimes and I see just an AI voice talking about something about wrestling with just pictures. Gets you a lot of views. The first video I have on my YouTube channel is actually me predicting uh, a couple of matches for WrestleMania 40, and it got
Great video, by the way.
16,000. Thank you. It got 16,000 views, but I didn't show my face once.
Mm.
I just wanted to do pictures. I don't know why. Young Daniel, silly, but even something like that. Maybe you have a great voice, but an ugly face. Like, some people say it's a great voice for radio, or a great face for radio. That's what the saying is, right? If you don't want to show your face, there's avenues to do that. I don't want to call people ugly, but you know what I mean. Something like that. So there you go.
Just two other questions before we do sort of my wrap up questions. How do you define success, Daniel, for your channel, sort of thing? Or
If you're having fun, like, some interviews that you do aren't going to be the top of the top, right? I'm not Chris Van Vliet, right? But you want to interview me, you want to talk to me, and I'm not a big creator. But when you post this, maybe you'll have fun making the shorts for it. You'll have fun editing it. You'll have fun listening back to it. yeah, like as long as you're having fun with what you're doing, then it doesn't matter, like to peel back the curtain, I currently live in my parents' basement with my wife and my two kids,
Mm.
and I'm not successful yet. I'm not making money yet, but I'm having fun with what I'm doing, and my wife sees the effort that I'm putting into my work, and sees the connections that I'm making, and um, the side job with the shorts, um, and believes in me, and so I think that that's what I define success by, is just if you're having fun and you have people around you that support you.
What do you think your legacy as a creator is?
I hope one day that people know me as just somebody that was nice, and um they got to chat with me and they just really enjoyed the experience of being interviewed by me. Maybe it was something different for them. Maybe it just felt more conversational than the last interview that they did.
Mm.
Um, Once again, I want to shout out Queen of the Ring Alex, where she doesn't really talk to these people about wrestling, but she talks to them about media, and just to see the look on their faces when they go, "Oh, something different,"
Yeah.
right? Um, when even me being in this interview, just you did research, and so it made me feel appreciative of that. Um, if I can make other people feel like that too, then that's a big plus. And I want to keep carving out where I'm supposed to be in this business, right? I'm not at my end goal. I don't want to just be a shorts editor forever. Even though I love doing it right now, I don't want to be that forever. And so I would love to see where I end up eventually. And, maybe other creators start picking up shorts editors, and eventually, yeah, I don't know. They carve out their own path, and so that's what I want to do one day.
That's really, really cool. And a beautiful way to end this, if I'm honest, Daniel. But before we do, we're going to do a very, very quick round because I know I've got to be respectful of your time of generic wrestling questions. Those of you that have seen my interviews before, when I swear Daniel will be asked his favorite match, favorite pay per view card, such as Double or Nothing 2019, favorite wrestler's entrance team, favorite tag team, and favorite wrestler. Basically, the questions I assume, Daniel, you're asked on social media or at events. So now you'll have a place to be like, guys, I have answered this. Please go watch this. So, what's your favorite match of all time?
Match of all time is Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. That match, legendary. Like, in terms of WWE style of just pacing and timing, some people say that it's too slow. No, it's absolutely perfect because Shawn Michaels was facing The Undertaker. So he had to be slow. He had to be methodical with what punches he was going in. And if you watch the beginning of that match, Shawn Michaels would go in for a little combo and then get right out because
Mm.
he's facing The Undertaker, right? That's in WWE. If we want to talk AEW, Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay 2. I got to see that live in Toronto and it was insane. My gosh, I think it was a 45-minute match and it felt like 30 minutes. And when I walked away from that match, I had this adrenaline, and I've never felt that as a fan before. So yeah, WWE, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, WrestleMania 25.
Really, really cool. What about your favorite overall pay per view card?
Mm. Elimination Chamber this year was awesome. Um, that card from top to bottom was so cool. I think that you could debate the women's match a little bit, that tag match with Trish Stratus. I think that a singles match would have been better there. Um, whether it was even if it was Tiffany versus Trish, just like something to set Tiffany up into WrestleMania.
Mm.
That was a great card. I loved WrestleMania 39 night one. That was legendary. And thank God we decided to go to that card because um, we weren't going to go to night one initially. We were only going to go to night two because I only cared about Cody at the time. But I somehow convinced my wife, let's go. And so we did, and it was the best because we both got so hyped for that night. Night two wasn't anything in comparison. So yeah, that probably Elimination Chamber 2025 or WrestleMania Night 1, WrestleMania 39.
What about your favorite wrestler's entrance theme?
The Undertaker is awesome. The Undertaker is so cool. I haven't gotten, well, I did when I was a kid. I got to experience it in person. Cool story. I got to go to a wrestling event with my dad and my uncle and my brother. And when I was a kid, because finally, Raw was coming to Toronto. So we're like, we have to go. And it was Edge and Christian in the main event. And the person who set that up, it was actually Randy Orton, because Randy Orton was feuding with Edge. And so they got to choose, they got to choose each other's opponents or whatever. And so
memory serves.
Yeah. And so for that week, yeah, it was Edge versus Christian. And then Randy Orton comes over the Titantron and says, that wasn't actually your opponent. And then bong, and then the lights turn off. And I'm getting chills just talking about it. But he's so cool. Undertaker is awesome.
What about your favorite tag team, my friend?
Tag team, DX. Back in 2009, 2010. Oh, they were so. Shawn Michaels and Triple H during that time, they were my favorite wrestlers. Shawn Michaels is my favorite wrestler of all time, I think. And I think that's your next question. My bad. But Shawn Michaels is so awesome. And just like the comedy, like I just kick Stan. Like that's so cool. Yeah, Shawn Michaels is so awesome.
So we're going DX for tag team and Shawn Michaels for your favorite wrestler.
Yeah. Shawn, like it's a toss up between John Cena and Shawn Michaels, but Shawn Michaels was the guy that really, like, when he retired after WrestleMania 26, that was another reason as to why I stopped watching. So it was a dog pile of Edge retiring
sort of thing.
It was exactly. So I was watching for Edge and John Cena and Shawn Michaels, and when two of my favorites were gone, I was gone as well.
I was the same when Batista left. I'm not gonna lie.
It's tough. It's really tough to see your favorites leave, and yeah, Batista, the best. He's the best.
As we wrap this up, Daniel, obviously I want to say thank you for a great conversation.
Yeah.
But the question I end this show on is, I believe as YouTubers, podcasters, even just people with social media, we're all sort of going to live forever in a very, very strange way if you think about the world. So what is one piece of content you're like, I'd like to be remembered for that? And then what is one that you're like, nah, you guys can forget about
that? What's one piece of content that I want people to remember is, again, my interviews. Like I get to talk with so many cool people. And that first Santi interview, if you want to see just as green as it gets, just making some mistakes or stuttering or just being nervous. Like if you want to become an interviewer and you're nervous, just maybe go and research just some people's first time interviewing, and it'll humble you very quickly. And maybe I don't have to put that much pressure on myself, So that first Santi interview was the start of where I am today. And what's one piece of content I want people to forget? Like I've got some stupid countdowns on my YouTube channel. I think I've gone back and deleted some, but I've got just some throwaway videos that are they're not that good. And so I was trying something, right? You got to throw something at the wall, see if it sticks, and those videos didn't stick. And so I just want people to forget about those.
That's really, really cool, my friend.
Yeah.
As we wrap this up, Daniel, obviously I want to say thank you for a great conversation.
Yeah, man.
Promote yourself before we get out of here. Where can
you can find sorry
doing an outro. Where can the good work, etc.?
I get too excited. You can find me at Daniel Mena on YouTube, MENNA. I do interviews. I also do YouTube shorts on there. And then if you go to Santi's YouTube channel and you go over to the shorts tab, all of those are me. And so yeah, you can follow my work there. But yeah, mainly if you want to watch my interviews, then the Daniel Mena YouTube channel. That's it.
It's well worth doing, guys. One of the one of the hardest working people in this space, but one of the nicest as well. So if you guys like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Tom Talks Rubbish on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter or X at Tom Talks Rubbish, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye now.
Thanks for watching this Tom Talks Rubbish conversation. Before you go, please make sure you leave a like on the video, share it around, and subscribe to Tom Talks Rubbish on YouTube, as well as follow Tom Talks Rubbish on Twitter/X.